Well, we welcome in soon to be already UB legend, but soon to officially be UB legend Turner Battle here to the In the Bullseye podcast on the occasion of Saturday, February 17th, here at Alumni Arena. The game, the Bulls and the Akron Zips, 2 p.m. Halftime, the number 11 goes to its rightful place on the wall in the rafters. As you've known about this for a couple weeks and we're getting close to the actual event happen, what's rolling around in your head?
How am I going to react? I'm going to have to control some emotions, and I want to make sure that I thank everyone who was a part of the journey, because I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the people that helped me get through the journey, and I don't want anybody to feel left out because, it's something that, I couldn't do on my own. It's been some good people. So that's why I'm here now, great people in this area, in this community, this school, who I appreciate and I respect a lot.
When you're playing, you're just playing, right? You want to be great. You're playing. You're a young guy. You want to do everything right. I don't know that you would have ever thought about those kind of things. It seemed to me that after your career is done, you'd think, boy, I had a pretty nice career, and kind of look up there like, man, or maybe in the midst of your career, you look up there and you go, yeah, someday I want to get up there. I want to be good enough to be up there. As time has gone on from the end of your playing career to now, to this point now, how much have you sort of reflected on what you did here was pretty special?
I mean, it goes back to when I was a child. I'm from North Carolina, and I grew up a Tar Heel fan, so I've been to the Dean Dome and saw those jerseys. So, of course, when I had the opportunity to play here, you come up and see those jerseys of the guys who had unbelievable careers. And it's, for me personally, I never even thought about it, So until, like you said, even afterwards, it never really crossed my mind until people brought it up. I was just happy enough to be in the Hall of Fame and felt like what we did was respected here because, it was a very lonely time when we first got here,
yeah,
and a lot of people – when I chose to come to Buffalo, there was a lot of people that were not happy. Like, why are you going to Buffalo? You're from North Carolina. Why are you going there? They haven't won. They're on probation. So, to see where the program ended, like looking back at it now to where it was and where we got it to, selling the place out was a dream come true.
You feel like that's a little bit of that legacy for you?
Absolutely. I mean, the funny thing about that is when Coach Hawkins and Coach Witherspoon recruited me in my house, that's one thing that they said. They said, you can come here and build a legacy. I didn't really think about that. Okay.
It's hard as an 18-year-old.
Yeah. I don't know what a legacy was. Mm-hmm. And they said the people that, and the thing that stuck with me is they said that the guys you came with are going to be guys that you're going to know for the rest of your life. They're going to be at your wedding. Your kids are going to know their kids. I'm sitting here like, when I leave Buffalo, I'm going back to North Carolina. And they were right. I built an incredible rapport with my teammates, and we are family. And that's why I'm here now. My family's here now is because of those guys, the bond that we built and that, the coaches instilled in us. And they were right. My kids call their kids uncle. And, their kids call me uncle. And I never had any brothers growing up, but what I had here was close to it.
Two things you just said that I want to follow up on. Let's start with your kids. Like, they know, they're old enough now to kind of know what you were and what you did, but to know that forever they can take their kids or their grandkids to this building and go, that's grandpa, dad, whatever they want to, whatever you are at that time. How significant is that for you?
That's a surreal moment. I mean, I haven't got to that point yet. I'm not in a hurry either. But when my kids came back here, they came back here one summer when I was not able to be here, and my picture's on the wall, and they saw that. And I saw how they looked then, and I didn't tell my wife, but it almost brought a tear to my eye. Like, that's they look at Daddy as Superman. And so to see it in the rafters is going to be another surreal feeling and something that, I hope they take pride in, and something that they can say, hey, my dad is there, and I want to if he can achieve that, then I can achieve what I need to achieve as well.
The other thing you said is those guys that you came in with are going to be your friends for life, and I know there's going to be a lot of them here on Saturday. How many of you heard from what's been a little bit of the talk? That's one of those occasions that if you haven't talked to one of your ex-teammates in a few years, they're picking up the phone and going, hey, congratulations.
Well, the ones that I played with, for the most part, that live in the area, we still have a group text. So our communication with them has been constant. We communicate through that group text all the time. So we've kind of joked around there. But my wife, there's some teammates there that my wife won't tell me who's coming.
Oh,
So
very
it'd be a little
nice.
bit of a surprise of who's coming as far as the ones that don't live in this area. So that'll be a little bit of a surprise, and I look forward to seeing those guys and teammates too.
For those of you that maybe are listening or watching this, kind of catching up, Turner played here from 2001 to 2005. That 2005 season, one of the best of all time, MAC Player of the Year, first ever Bull to be the MAC Player of the Year. That was a 23-win season, NIT tournament. You retired number 10 all-time in points with over 1,400. I believe you're the only guy in school history, or certainly at the time, to have had 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 400 assists as well. So all of this stuff goes to why that number 11 is going up on there. But let's go back to something else that you said. Let's take us back to the beginning. Why did you come here from Kernersville, North Carolina?
That's a great question. And, Coach Witherspoon, Coach Hawkins did a really good job of, really catching my eye as far as being consistent in the recruiting process. The process for me was up and down. At one point I was getting recruited by all high major schools. And at one point it was only a few. And then there was one particular school that told me that I had to commit. And if I didn't commit, then they're going to move on. So, of course, I moved on. But, through my ups and downs of my summer, Coach Hawkins and Coach Witherspoon stayed consistent. And, when they came in my house, my dad is a talker. And we all know Coach Spoon is a talker.
Oh, yeah.
And we just had a connection, and I felt like my parents were comfortable. I was comfortable with him. Coach Hawkins I had a really strong relationship with through the phone and seeing him in person. And one thing I knew about them is they were always honest with me, and they were going to push me. And what they told me, it's crazy how things happen. What they told me came true, and I just had a trust with them, because when I came on my visit here, I planned on taking like four visits. And there's no way. I was in my mind. I told my friends, man, I'm not going to Buffalo. I'm not going there. Nobody knows about the MAC. I mean, the league was very well respected, one of the top 10 leagues in the country at the time. But I'm not going to Buffalo. And when I came here, just the connection and the bond was strong.
Do you think part of you touched on, part of the selling point from Coach Witherspoon and Coach Hawkins was to leave a legacy, to turn things around, to be the one that gets this program, up and flying. You think that stuck with you a little bit? You could go to those big schools and, if you'd had a chance to go to play at North Carolina, that'd have been a dream. But, what your role would have been, there would have been 8 or 10 other guys that were Michael Jordan-like at the time. Was there part of you that said, I want to go and be the man somewhere else by myself, maybe?
Well, that's kind of how everything was. But yes, I'm up for a challenge. I'm from Kernersville, North Carolina, Winston-Salem area, and a lot of my AAU teammates played on one team, and they were, top 20 in the country, and they were trying to get me to come over, and I never did. I felt like I could build something with the friends that I had there, and so this was very similar to that. And I knew it would be a challenge, but also knew I had an opportunity. One thing that I learned early is that through the process that Coach Witherspoon and Coach Hawkins were very honest. And when I got here, you got Coach Quitchoff and Coach Miniga, very intense and very honest. And, at times early in the career, you're very humbled. You're like, man, am I good enough to play here now? This is big time basketball. And what they did to push us to be who we were was, unbelievable. It's not just basketball with those guys, it's life. I still speak to all of them, and I consider all of them family.
Take me through the 4 years of the career. Like you said, you get here thinking like, I'm the big shot, I'm the man, I'm North Carolina. All of a sudden you get a little humbled. How did you shake that off and then start to get better every year leading to that 05 season?
Well, the guys that I came in with, Jason Bird, Mark Bortz, and Danny Gilbert, we didn't know any better. We all felt the same way. We all were the men in our high school. We all had success, and we all were talented. And we all could, honestly, all of us could have gone to a higher level. And we chose Buffalo for the same reasons. And so we come in thinking, in the summer we were all together. But the team was a little, they weren't around as much because, summer school wasn't mandatory at the time. So we built a bond. So we thinking – we're really good and all that stuff. And then the guys get here, and you got some really good players. And, it was a little bit of a power struggle because, there was a lot of hype around us. And, I don't know if all the guys really accepted us right away. But the first year was a little tough, but, we became closer. And then that second year when that other class came in of Calvin Cage, Mario Jordan, Rod Middleton, that's when, things hit probably the bottom. We won 5 games my sophomore year, and it was always us, which we were sophomores, versus freshmen. And there was 4 of them, 4 of us, and it was a struggle. And we were all talented. I mean, really, really talented. And instead of playing together, we were always against each other. But, Coach did it in a way to, like, you guys are going to have to figure it out. And the summer after my sophomore year is when we bonded. And we bonded in the gym. We spent a whole lot of time together, working out, playing against one another, hanging out. And that's when we said, you know what, we're not going to win this battle trying to fight Coach. We got to come together. And it didn't start off that way my junior year, but we started to learn how to win. We didn't know how to win. So we finally learned how to win. And it was a trust that we had with one another. And it got to the point to my senior year where all the expectations were on us. But we didn't look at it that way. We always had a chip on our shoulder because everybody laughed about us being in the MAC, Buffalo being in the MAC. So, Coach had videos of other coaches teasing
you're only
us.
5 years or so into the MAC program.
Yeah, we had a video of I don't want to repeat the name, but the Central Michigan coach did a structural video, and he said something about the worst thing you could do is go to Buffalo on the snowy thing, and even winning.
Have you ever been to Mount Pleasant before? But okay.
Yeah, so Mount Pleasant is a lot worse than Buffalo. Not even close.
I'll let you say that, not me.
And we took that as a challenge, and one thing we said we were going to put Buffalo on the map. And so my senior year, we started gelling, and we had got so close to where we could talk to one another, have hard conversations. I could look at Jason could look at me, I could look at DG, I could look at Calvin, Rod, Bortz, any of those guys, but we already knew what we were thinking. We had been through so much. I mean, we won 5 games. I mean, that's a long season, 5 games, and we just felt like it's nothing that the other team could do that we hadn't seen. And we came up a little short my senior year, but, one thing we felt is that we saw this place when we got laughed at. I mean, I had reporters in the locker room telling us as freshmen that, why did you come here? You're never going to win here. From the not Buffalo news reporters, but the Spectrum. Mm-hmm. And to our junior and senior year, this place being packed and the students going crazy, you walking on campus, it's a real real college atmosphere. And I felt like they hopped on board with us, and we got to know them, they got to know us, and it was a dream come true.
What are some of the games, moments, basketball things that pop into your head over these last couple of weeks, some of those fond memories?
Well, the one things are the Sea of Blue. What people don't realize is that we stormed the dorms for the Sea of Blue. My junior year, I think Paul Hutchins was a part of it. We stormed. He said, let's go to the dorms, get people to come to the games. Well, for us with kids, we're like, hey, let's do it. We get to meet a lot of people. It's a big campus, so we stormed the dorms, and that game was packed. Sea of Blue, I think it was Kent State, junior year, and we ended up blowing them out. And at that time, Kent State was they were getting votes for the top 25.
Yeah, they weren't that far removed from the great Antonio Gates teams.
Right, and we beat them, and that was a fond memory. And I remember going on campus the next day. You never really are excited to go to class, but we were in. We were, I think at 8 o'clock class, I was front and center, and saw a lot of people I knew. And
soak it in.
Huh? Yeah, and it was growing up in North Carolina, it's basketball country. You see how people react to the ACC, Wake Forest, Duke, North Carolina, NC State, and you see how people support that. And I felt that for the first time, and that meant a lot to all of our teammates because other people don't realize how the work that we put in to get to where we were.
All right. Any truth to the rumor that next Saturday, aside from your number ceremony, it's also oversized shorts giveaway day here at UB? You want to talk about? Do you still have any pair of those crazy baggy shorts?
I do.
You should have your kids wear them.
I have my game shorts somewhere.
Do you?
And I've been getting more comments about my shorts
I know.
the last 2 weeks.
Well, I can
than
tell you
anything.
that if you Google oversized college basketball shorts, it's not your picture.
Marcus Green.
It's Marcus Green from St. Bonaventure that comes up. But yours weren't all that different.
No, they weren't. You know, when we got those uniforms, we told Coach Quitchoff that we wanted the extra 2 inches.
Right.
And a lot of people tease me, but this is what I tell the guys now: real hoopers wear baggy shorts. Said, if you would have wore the shorts that these guys wear now, you wouldn't have got picked in the runs that we had when we were playing.
It's funny. All the pictures that have come back of you in your playing days, that's the first thing everybody notices. Like, man, what was up with the shorts? Yep. But it was the fashion. It was the style back then. So I get it. All right. So as things wrap up here and that amazing 2005 season doesn't end the way you wanted to in Cleveland, but it's the capper on a great career. Then you go off and play a little bit in Europe. And, we've seen more recently the success of Mitchell Watt, Nick Perkins, C.J. Massenberg, Sierra Dillard on the women's side. Have had great success over there. What was your experiences like in Estonia and France?
Estonia was a humbling experience. I'm the hard part of the transition, and this is what I told a lot of guys in coaching, is that when you're here, it's a real team. When you're successful, I think it's a real team. It's a real bond. When you're over there, you have to think for yourself, which for me is very hard. And I had to learn in that way, especially in Estonia. I was only American, and things started off great, and they did not end great. So, then I moved to France, and the same thing happened. Started off great. So I was humbled. But one thing I told myself is that I'm prepared now, because it's a different style of basketball. It's a different life. You do get paid well, but you are alone, and you have to occupy your time. You have to be very disciplined on what you do, because you can get lost. And that was what I was preparing to do. But unfortunately, I got hurt.
Right.
And
so was that the key part of the decision that makes you decide to give up playing and come back here and get into coaching?
Yes. I didn't think I still thought I was going to play after I got hurt, because I rehabbed, worked hard, got back to where I was, if not better, and I was ready to go. But then this opportunity came, and it just felt right.
So you went right on Reggie's staff at the time, correct? Was that was the first coaching job?
Yes. So I think I sat down with Coach for about, I don't know, half a day maybe, and we spoke and talked about coaching. Are you sure? I said, Coach, I think so. I said, I want to pour into these guys, make a difference. I want them to not experience what I experienced overseas or my sophomore year in college.
All right, so now you're getting into coaching. How hard was that? You're a point guard, which means you're a coach on the court, you're a leader, you're making sure everybody else is doing the right things, which is a lot of what coaching is. But how hard was it to flip that switch?
At first it was difficult, because I was used to fixing it myself by doing it on the court. And I had to, and Coach used to tell me, yeah, you know that, but you need to teach them this. And that was the hardest part, is teaching them what I was trying to, what I would used to fix myself, is teaching them in a way that I can explain it instead of show it to them.
Right. All right, so UB and then stops Chattanooga, UAB, East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. What jumps out at you as you reflect back on the coaching part of your life?
I've been blessed to be around some really good coaches and good people. Mm-hmm. I worked for Coach Witherspoon, Coach Quitchoff, who I played for, so those guys are family, so they made the transition easy. I worked for Will Wade at Chattanooga, who learned, great work ethic and how to prepare, and, hard work and really different relationships with guys. And then UAB, Jared Haas, unbelievable person, great recruiter, good coach, showed you that you can have success and you can have a family. So that was good. And then the other half of UAB was with a good friend of mine, Rob Eson, who, I respected and respect, and we're friends to this day. And he, I wanted to help get him through the journey. And then I worked at ETSU with Jason Shea, first-year head coach, genius, X and O guy. And then my last stop was Middle Tennessee with Nick McDevitt, and I was on staff with guys who I worked with before. So that was a great, we kind of turned that thing around that year too. So that was exciting, and it made it hard to get out as well too.
All right, so in the middle of all of this, you talked about family. You're starting to build your family. Your wife is from Buffalo, so there might have always been some of that thought about coming back here. But at what point does the family shift you to thinking, all right, I may need to step away from this to get back to Buffalo to raise the family where we want to raise them?
Well, all my friends are here. And I used to, and I'm sure they used to I used to call Jason, I used to call Clem Smith, I used to call Mark Bortz, Rod, DG, Danny Gilbert, all those guys. Like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore. You know, my daughter's going to 3 or 4 different schools. I miss seeing you guys. I need that support. And if something comes available, then we got to look at it. And my wife would always, you know, kind of nudge me, hey, you know, I love you and support you, but if we can get back to Buffalo, let's do it. And I agree with her, and the opportunity came, and, you know, we packed our stuff and came to Buffalo running.
It's not Kernersville, North Carolina, but does this feel like home now that you're back here?
Absolutely. This is a home away from home. This area, the community, the basketball community, they're just great people here. You know, they embraced us. I'm close with a lot of people from Buffalo, a lot of the Buffalo legends who I used to look up to when I was in college. When we would invite those guys, and you know, Modi Cox used to come here, another Buffalo great man.
Absolutely,
he was like a big brother,
yeah.
and you know, Rashawn Young came a few times too. So, you know, those guys. I mean, they're not from here. Modi is, but you know, it's just the community here. They're just good people. You know, I always tell people it's got a Southern feel.
Interesting. Most people say it's a Midwest feel. Why do you think it's a Southern feel?
I never lived in the Midwest. I don't consider Buffalo Midwest. But I've never lived in the Midwest, so I'm from the South, and I feel like the people here are very genuine. They're hardworking. They're good people, and I'm kind of easygoing person, and if I can deal with easygoing people, that makes it easy for me. And Buffalo, I think I fit right in.
So you mentioned Rashawn Young. So he's already up there. You guys are going to have to share the number 11. That's a little bit of the oddity of all this, is that you guys both have the same number. You are both great players, so there's going to be 2 11s up there. Have you heard from Rashawn yet? And are we already figuring out who's got the better 11 on the wall there?
I think he congratulated me social media, but Rashawn Young was a great player.
Yeah,
just to let you know, he used to come. You know, when he come back, he practiced with us, and I mean, he was physical. He could shoot. He was pass. I mean, he was a power guard. So, I mean, I kind of my game is a little similar to his a little bit. He scored it a lot better. But you know, I have nothing but respect for him. I think it's enough room for both of us up there because what he did here, I mean, speaks for itself as well.
Rashawn Young's a number 11. Harold Kuhn's number 19. Jim Horn's number 13. We see Jim here all the time. Curtis Blackmore's 52. 50 from Sam Pelham. Now 11 from Turner Battle. Like that's a pretty good list, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I met Jim Horn. Really nice guy. To be amongst those guys is a blessing, and I'm really excited and truly honored to be a part of it.
And the last thing for you is, you know, we've had the pleasure of starting to work with you on the TV side. You've done a bunch of men's basketball games for us on the ESPN Plus side. We've got more to come. How's that transition been for you? Again, like coaching, you know what's supposed to happen. When you coach, you had to tell guys how to do it. Now you got to tell everybody at home what you're seeing. Has that been the hardest part of that?
Yes. I'll be honest. What's made it really comfortable for me is you. You know,
you.
I mean, the transitions have been good. You and Kevin Sylvester have done a good job of helping me out because I don't know what I'm doing. But I will say this: I'm having a great time. I know I got to get a lot better, but I'm enjoying it. You make it a lot easier. It's basketball. I love basketball.
Yeah, well, you know that part of it. The rest we'll do our best to teach you, and it's not all that hard to do. But when you bring the basketball knowledge that you have, that's really been a lot of fun. All right, as we wrap things up here with Turner Battle, heading into the day where his number 11 goes on the wall, how much have you thought about what you're going to say? How much have you thought about, like you said, you got to fight the emotions a little bit? How much is everybody, Danny Gilbert and Jason and those guys telling you what you should say, what you shouldn't say? Are you trying to filter out the noise a little bit?
They haven't done much of that, but yes, I am. It will be. I'm not really a big emotional person, but I almost let loose when you guys surprise me.
Yeah.
But yes, my biggest thing is, once again, I want to make sure that everybody who's impacted my life, I want them to feel special because my parents, my sister have done an unbelievable job of sacrificing for me, and I'm grateful for them and my wife and my kids. and my wife's family, they've taken me in as well too, and it's just been. I don't want to miss out on anyone, and I want them to know. And I probably will miss them, and I'm going to say something at the end, hopefully. But that's the biggest thing, is just to thank everyone, because without all of them, this wouldn't happen.
Well, it's been our honor to be a little circle of all of that part of your life, and you have impacted all of us as well, from when we watched you play to watching you now. You are one of those most worthy guys that any Bulls fan knows, that if you're talking about the all-time great Bulls in any sport, Turner Battle's name is on that list, and then Saturday the 17th, it goes on the wall. Turner, thanks for a couple of minutes of time here, and can't wait to see it all come down. We're excited for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Turner Battle joining us on the In the Bullseye podcast.